Hello everyone and welcome to a very special video here on EverywhereNet. First of all, I really want to give a huge thank you to Leslie Benzies and Mark for giving me this opportunity and for taking the time to sit down and have this conversation with me, because it means a lot. I also want to thank Thef, Kat, Nutrilicious and Luigi for always being such amazing friends and for always being there and helping out with everything surrounding this project. And of course, a very special thank you to Thade, Becky and George. Even though they unfortunately no longer work at Build a Rocket Boy, they have honestly been one of the biggest guiding lights for this community over the years. Thank you guys. This ended up being a very long and productive discussion. We talked about a lot of different topics, way more than I expected going into. So for this video, I have selected the points that I think are the most important and relevant for the community right now. There are also a few things that I can't really talk about, because it's simply better for the team to properly announce or show those things themselves when the time is right. So if you notice certain cuts, certain jumps or parts missing, that's the reason why. I'm not trying to hide absolutely anything. I'm just trying to select what I think it's better for me to show you guys right now. So I hope you enjoy, and that's it. Have fun. I think this kind of communication between the studio and the community, not just this specific interview or talk, no, but even a community manager being on the Discord server or Lucas talking with Thef, with MindsEye builders. I think it's super beneficial, but not only for us, for the community, but also for you guys, because you can hear the feedback, you can see what people need, what they want. So yeah, I think it's useful for both.
Indeed, indeed. Well, look, we'll definitely be doing this more often, and I think every 2 weeks or so we could definitely um, put across a good hour or more for the community. Do AMAs and things. Our intention certainly going forward is to, if anything, even remove all the layers we've had in the past between us and the community, and very much us, the developers, to have a direct channel with the community. Because at the end of the day, that's why we're doing all of this. And so, we're definitely going to be a lot flatter and more plugged into the community.
Yeah. And it helps now that we're publishing ourselves. That removes a layer that existed before, that we'll clean things up and allows us to talk directly to the community rather than have to go through a kind of third party.
Yeah. One of the things that we talked a lot in the community is, okay, now there's an expression that we use. It's let's go indie again. Let's talk directly with the people, like other smaller developers do. And that's awesome. That's something we would love. I'm sure it will be great for you guys too.
Absolutely. It's better for us. That closer connection is good for us. We can hear what the community is asking for, and work more closely together. Because ultimately, the tools, they're there to serve you guys. They're there so that you can create brilliant things. And so we really want to know what it is that you need to make those things. And we'll talk a little bit about this, but I think if we're going to meet up, we'll look into it a bit deeper. But some of the new tools that we've got to ease creation are quite mind-blowing. I saw them working the first time a little while back, and yeah, it blew my mind.
So one of the biggest concerns that people have right now is whether Build a Rocket Boy can realistically keep moving forward with such a much smaller team, especially after going from around 450 employees down to roughly 80, I think it is right now, no?
I think just like this, us going back to being an indie, I think we're able to be more plugged in with the community. We have gone to a smaller team, but it really is that core team that has been, in many cases, a lot of people have been with us from the very beginning. So like, our core engineers and core designers, and so it is a smaller team, but it is the kind of, I would like to believe, the kind of the best of the best. And so, we often find there's a paradox where you do often generate more, or you have more clarity and alignment with smaller focused teams. We're also as a studio getting a lot more focused on the future of the studio being around Arcadia. We obviously brought MindsEye to a phenomenal place. You see, we kind of continue to expand it. We have multiplayer coming shortly, but very much then the future of it was always meant to showcase what was possible with Arcadia.
Yeah.
And then I think now we're going to start leaning in a lot more on building, making building easier, multiplayer building, so it's kind of social, collaborative construction, and then actually building the platform for the community to create their content, to get discovery, and we want in due course even to be able to monetize their own content. So all of that focus is I think coming at the same time that the team we have, the studio we have, which is about 100 going forward, is also really optimized around. So there's always an assumption you'll do less because the team is smaller, and I think we're just more focused with a core group, a very, very senior team, and I think as a result we'll probably do more. We'll move faster in many ways. Look, time will tell, but that's our belief. We've found that when we really wanted to break through on stuff, we typically created these small strike teams anyway, because it was a lot easier to do it with a focus group of people and achieve results than kind of a large organization where the work is kind of sliced up amongst hundreds of people, for example. So I'm very confident about the future, and I think the community will see that obviously we've been investing in this for a good decade now, but it's going to kind of, that tipping point's coming. We're starting to reap the benefits from those years and years of investment, and we can do more with less.
Yeah, and we've been focused. Obviously, we've been focused on MindsEye. That's taken a lot of effort, and we've been optimizing our systems quite a lot. So we think we're at the point where we've optimized. We've got the low-hanging fruit, and so a lot of the optimization guys move on to help with Arcadia. So I think we'll probably see more advancements in Arcadia than we have in the past because of the refocus into that. That's always been our goal, is to help people make video games as quickly and as easily as possible. And so we're now getting to that point. We're getting to that dream point where we can do it. So yeah, I think you'll see more advancement in Arcadia than you have in the past.
Honestly, I think Arcadia is an underrated tool. The ease of getting started with it, the possibilities it offers, it's honestly incredible. I think it's one of the most important things that you guys have, even more important than MindsEye, probably.
Yeah, that's been our dream from day one, is to make it as easy as possible to build games. There's so many hoops to jump through just to get a pixel on the screen, and so we want to give AAA assets, really good quality assets, really easy tools, and combine them together to make great games. And really, I think that the tools that are coming as well, and especially the addition of multiplayer over the MindsEye map, that really will add a lot. So being able to make multiplayer games very easily, and also offering templates for people who don't want to even go to the effort of coming up with a new game style. Use one of the templates that exists already, and make some quick modifications, and you kind of got your own game.
Something that personally feels really important to me, and honestly seemed like a huge part of Build a Rocket Boy's original vision, at least from the outside, was this idea of a shared space called Utopia, with the avatars, the stylized visuals, the shops, the portals, the biomes, all of that. That's everywhere. A lot of that disappeared once the Builders Beta ended, so I wanted to ask, is that still part of the vision? Is that still there?
Well, the plan is still the same. The way we get there is slightly different. What we're going to do, and it's probably a good time to show you one of the videos. We want to get back to that place. So you have Utopia, the world of Utopia that you can exist in. Like you say, you can have houses, there's stores, you can sell things. All of that is still planned. And so what we need to do now, and what the next few months will be focusing on, or one of the things we'll be focusing on, is getting that connection between MindsEye and Everywhere into place. So the connection between the MindsEye world and the Utopia world, getting that back, so it's thematically makes sense. So at the end of the MindsEye game, there will be a new cutscene coming into place that shows you the connection of the MindsEye story into the Utopia Everywhere story. And we really want to make it, because the whole thing kind of sits under one big umbrella of a story, and we really need to be careful to carefully position it and explain it to people, because it's quite a complex story.
I remember reading the patents years ago about what you guys were trying to build. This idea of having a more realistic world alongside a more stylized one, both connected together, where players could move between them in a shared multiplayer space, all that. And back then, it sounded almost futuristic, but now, nearly 10 years later, seeing that this vision is actually starting to become real, despite all the setbacks, the changes, the difficult moments along the way, it is really nice to see. So honestly, congratulations for that, for sticking with it. Let's go for it.
It's been a journey. And that's the beauty of this. I think we've probably got about 40% of what we've been building actually out there. So much more, so many more arcs and systems still to be released. And like you say, talking about houses, people want to live in houses, and all the things they've earned through all the games that they've played, all the arcs they've played, to store them in their houses, to show off, and to keep their cars and all the bits they've had, keep them all in their houses, and build things for each other. So that's still all there. And so our first piece of playable Everywhere content that we're going to launch is a thing called Grenade Football.
What actually is Grenade Football? In this segment, Leslie and Mark showed me some gameplay footage that I unfortunately cannot share, but I can at least explain the concept. So they have created a brand new game mode with its own mechanics where two teams of 5 players face each other inside a football stadium. The objective is still, like in regular football, to score goals against the opposing team. But the twist is that the ball isn't controlled with your feet like in regular football. Instead, you use a shotgun to move the ball around. So you literally shoot the ball to pass it to teammates or launch it toward the goal, which creates this really chaotic and fast-paced style of gameplay. They are still testing and balancing things at the moment, so some mechanics may change before release. But from what I saw, it looks really fun. And honestly, I can absolutely see people spending a lot of time playing this over this summer. If they release it before the World Cup, that I don't know. They didn't tell me that. And after finally being able to see Everywhere again after such a long time, it led me to ask them about a lot of the things that the community, especially the builders, have been requesting for a long time. In particular, I brought up new gameplay mechanics like swimming, climbing ladders, spaceships.
We will do that at some point. On the flying vehicles, we had them in game. I don't know. You maybe saw them in one of the trailers, actually. We had flying spaceships, so they'll come back online at some point. We're not sure when, but they will be back online. They're cool. They're great fun to fly, and they're great fun to race in. Yeah. Multiplayer racing in them will be great fun. But yeah, they'll be coming back online. And on the movement, swimming, etc. Yes, that'll all come at some point. It's not in the the very defined roadmap at the moment, but obviously we want to make it fully, climbing ladders, scaling. And one thing we're very keen on, we've talked about this in the past. We've got some concepts for it. Skiing, like going on a skiing trip with your mate.
It's really exciting to finally see all the progress and all the new developments for the game again. And I think it would be interesting for the community to get a look at parts of the development process, like even if they are still work in progress, whether that's through dev diaries or simply allowing the team members to share concept arts, experimental mechanics that you are testing and things like that. That will bring a lot of hype, a lot of interest, a lot of activity in the community. Even if it's things that will not be in the final game because not everything ends up being there.
That's I was going to say, I think we would love to, uh, not just dev diaries, not just packaging stuff up, but I would love to across the whole team, from our concept art team, engineering, content, design, anything. I'd love them to be almost every. It's actually something we've started encouraging people to do, and in a way, I guess that many need to kind of build up the confidence to do so. But it's almost like every day, just do like 10 minutes of just this is what I did today, so we can share with the community. Because again, we want that transparency. We want people to get excited about working on. I think the only downside to so that's going to happen. I think the only downside to that is that not everything we work on gets finished or goes to launch, or and so we may show us a cool concept or a cool game mode that people get excited about, but for reasons, technical or otherwise, priorities, it doesn't happen. And you can kind of imagine then if you're like, oh, that was the one I was so excited about, the space travel. I'm making stuff. And there'll be highs and lows as a result. So but that's kind of the reality here anyway. It's like not everything we work on do we get to finish, and we always have to make choices, tough choices in terms of what are the priorities. But almost the North Star for us is always what do the community want. And so us being able to create a way of almost like getting consensus of like what do most of the community want first, what do most of the community want second, is probably how we can navigate it. Something we did, I introduced on RuneScape, was the player polls. And so every month, we would the design team were like, oh, we'll work on these like storylines or a new skill, and then we would poll the community, and then the community would vote for the things they cared about, and we would show the results, and then basically whatever they voted for was what the team worked on next, or like number 1, 2, and 3 in that order. And so I think we'll as we've deal with some of these remaining big technology updates that we're doing around multiplayer and things, I think we're probably going to be able to get to that point where a lot of the roadmap we democratize to the community, and they get to pick it. But yeah, we'd love to be sharing dev diaries. We'll talk about this forever. Because there's so much amazing stuff that we have such talented people, such amazing stuff they generate, and we want to share that with the community. And so no, there'll definitely be a significant openness going forward as we're able to focus more on Arcadia and building and arcs and stuff.
To start wrapping things up, I wanted to ask a couple of the questions that I see the most across social media and the Discord server. And I'd like to begin with the free roam and whether you have any plans for it to return. Because I think it's something that people keep asking about, because there was a bit of a communication issue maybe before the game was launched regarding how MindsEye was perceived, since technically MindsEye is not really an open world game, but people didn't understand that when the game was released.
That was a problem. We internally were very careful not to tout it as an open world game.
But we are working on multiplayer and being able to, players to be able to enjoy the map. Yeah. We have an amazing map. That's coming pretty soon. There's a lot of work, a lot of focus on that right now.
Okay. So one of the other questions that people keep asking is about melee. Is melee combat coming?
Yeah, thanks for reminding us on that. We did work on melee combat. It was in game. I think we decided to prioritize some other things that we thought were more important. So yeah, that may come back.
Okay.
Our toughest job is the priorities, right, on the roadmap, and it's like it is bring over the character creator and the historic arcs, or introduce a melee system.
Yeah.
And then there's lots of balancing and other considerations to think about. And again, if people are like, oh my god, that would just, to me, it adds an extra point on the game and take my money. That's all I've ever wanted.
Yeah.
That's one thing.
Yeah.
If it's like, I suppose it's not, but it's not Street Fighter. Then we're like,
I know, because it'd be very simple melee. The biggest problem we have, having a static game, let's say, called MindsEye, a kind of static game, and then creating all these additional things on the side, they all have to be backwards compatible. And that's an absolute stinker on time, just on resource, time and money. It's expensive. So every tiny change we make to something in Arcadia, for example, we then have to make sure that every single mission works. And so something like melee, we have to make sure it works in every mission. So what I'm thinking there, maybe we just introduce melee into arcs. We don't allow Jacob to melee. We only do it in arcs, and then we don't have to worry about that backwards compatible issue. So maybe that's how we handle it.
Like the stealth mechanic that you guys introduced with Blacklisted.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think that's what people were asking. Not in MindsEye, but in Arcadia.
Yeah.
It's like different things.
Yeah. Fine. Then yes.
Okay, so now I need to ask about 60 FPS. We know the team has been working on trying to bring MindsEye to consoles at 60 FPS. How is that going? Is it something that we can expect soon?
We're about to do an upgrade on engine, and that'll really determine for us whether it'll work or not. But it's a real struggle. These types of games don't tend to work at 60 frames on a PlayStation, and so it's a tricky one.
We're currently running on MindsEye's on Unreal 5.4, and we've done a port that we're testing now to 5.7, which has got a lot of optimizations around world streaming and stuff like that. So maybe.
And that's the big thing is the streaming, actually grabbing things from the disc, getting them off the disc, decompressing them, all that. That's when you really struggle. That's when the frame rate dips most in the game. So if you're traveling and you turn a corner and a whole new set of graphics need to be loaded, that's what causes the dips mainly in the game. And that's a real stinker of a problem. So yeah, like Mark says, once the 5.7 has a bunch of streaming optimizations. So let's see what happens there.
Okay, so my last question is about Arcadia being a standalone platform, a free-to-play standalone platform, not being tied to a 60 euros or 50 or 40 euros product or game. What do you guys think about that? How's it going to be?
I don't think it's not daily, but we do have this conversation very often. Actually, sometimes we have it multiple times on the same day, but not every day. I think it's given where we are today, I think it's a journey, and I think we're evolving it, or we're expanding Arcadia to include a lot of what we had before, but kind of bring it together in a really consistent way. I think the thing that's the most attractive for me is this for using the Arcadia lens now as a Beyond MindsEye is bringing it to mobile, tablet, reducing the age rating from 18, what we have because of MindsEye, to something that's far more accessible. And I think that when we get to that point, it probably means it needs to be a standalone offering. But I think we got again, it's all the stuff we've been talking about that we still want to do for the community. I think we'll end up doing that under or expanding the MindsEye Arcadia offering until we're done, and then I think we talk about maybe it's a different entry into this world or something like that. It now becomes standalone. But yeah, so we have this conversation very often, and the answer isn't clear because it's there's not just technical complexity. We don't want to also orphan players, owners of this product who've invested a lot, things like that. So we think about the community, what's the right way to do it, if you know the answer, feel free to share it. But I'd say that's conversation's ongoing.
Absolutely.
So what if we just made building free, for example? What if building was its own? I think again we have.
I think we'll all end up where we all want to be. It's just how we get there is a little it's a little twisty. But I think we all know what needs to be done, and it's how we get there.
Well, that's everything from me. I don't want to take up any more of your time, and thank you both so much from myself and from the entire community for taking the time to talk with me, to sit in front of a camera, and to help clarify some of the things that we've been wondering about such a long time. So thank you so much again.
Brilliant. Well, that was fun. Thanks for that.
Yeah. Oh, thanks to you guys.
Reaching out
and we appreciate everything that you've done and are doing. We do really appreciate it.
Yeah, and just extend that thanks to the community as well. We know it's been a bumpy road for all of us, and we're deeply appreciative, really, really thankful for the continued support. The loyalty and the encouragement. It really means the world to us. And as I was saying earlier, really, this is why we do what we do, and we really do want to delight the community and realize this full vision, and really pass the baton to the next generation of game makers, of world builders.
Absolutely.
It's been a pleasure to talk with you guys, especially because you never know from the outside what's going on. And honestly, we had no idea. There's people speculating that the studio could be closed in a couple of months, stuff like that. So it's very nice to see you guys here in person talking about everything.
And we are working very hard. This is our passion. We played video games as kids. We made video games all of our lives. This is what we want to do. We want everybody to be able to make video games, and so we will keep fighting and battering and making video games until we can't.
You probably, Leslie, can't even imagine how many people I've met thanks to you through your previous games. Some of them ended up becoming like super important people in my life, and that's something that I will be always grateful for. So thank you for that.
That makes me very, very happy, and that's what we need to do. Is we need everybody to be helping and supporting everybody else to build great things, to make stuff that we can be proud of.
Yeah.
Let's have some fun.
Thank you very much. And then we're gonna.